Hello and welcome to India Career Center, the one-stop podcast for students, professionals, parents and guardians. In every episode, we will try to deal with a current topic that needs expert advice related to career, career guidance and career mentoring. Please welcome your host Dr. S.B. Mishra to the show and happy listening.
Hello and welcome to another episode on India Career Center. Today's episode is about IT infrastructure and its career opportunities. There are several career opportunities in IT infrastructure such as cloud architecture, DevOps engineers, network automation engineers, cyber security analysts, data center engineers, and so on and so forth. There are no restrictions for these kind of opportunities, only for IT companies, but these career opportunities are there across all organizations across the world, primarily because I think the technology dependence over a period of time is increasing and it is actually seeping into every organization. To discuss about all these topics, we are starting a new series of discussion with our guest, Mr. Rakesh Jain, who is joining us from USA. Uh, Rakesh is a technical manager at Google with a diverse background and proven track record. He has volunteered to share his knowledge and experience with the youth of India and, of course, across the world through this series of podcast episode. At the outset, Rakesh, thank you for joining us. I know we are on a different time zone. You're joining us from US. So thank you for your time and welcome to the podcast series.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Misa. Thanks for having me and looking forward to this conversation and hope people can get some benefit out of my journey and I can share my experience. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. So to take our conversation forward, take us through your early life in India so that a lot of young people who are in their education right now in schools and colleges or who are in early professional life will also get to know about you a little more. And
Sure. So I'm basically from a very small town in Haryana called Jind. It has some kind of religious roots from Mahabharata, from Pandavas. So it's a religious place to be. So I was born and brought up there. I did my schooling in college, both from there. I did my college from Jain Institute of Engineering and Technologies, and I did BTech in IT, Information Technology. I did my BTech in 2006. So initially for schooling, I was in Hindi medium school until 8th grade. And then I did, so at that time, there were only two career options, largely. Either you want to be a doctor or want to be an engineer, or you go and do business with your father. So those were the only options we had. So in 9th grade, somebody suggested me that, if you want to go into engineering or doctor, you should go and take English medium in your school. So in 9th grade, I took English medium, and I think that was the best decision or best guidance ever given to me. Had I not taken that part, probably I would have not been here. Initially, I did struggle in English medium. It was difficult for me to converse with the teachers and understand the topics in Hindi, from Hindi to English in science or mathematics. But yeah, over the period of time, I learned it. And so then I joined college in Jain itself. It was a Jain Institute of Engineering and Technology where I did my BTech from. At that time, people didn't know much about that, what particular stream you want to go. That time, there was a small kind of digitization started happening in 2000 when it was www boom. We call it www boom, www. That time, people started moving the industry to websites and all, but it was not at a large scale because there were no smartphones at that time. So it was 2002 when we set on counseling, and then I was trying to decide that which stream I want to go. So a lot of people were taking either electronics or mechanical, but IT was recently introduced, like 1 or 2 years old at that time in different colleges curriculum. So somebody suggested me that go for IT. It's new, it's booming up. So it's not like we had a lot of information about IT. It's just because everybody was going into that. So we decided that as well. So went into IT. First year was like very general for all the trades. It was nothing specific to IT at that time. We started learning C, C++, all those basic languages, and then we learned about data structure, operating systems, all different subjects of IT. And then when we had to go in industrial training for second year and third year of college for your major projects. So at that time, again, there was no major internet. 2004, it was Gmail, which was one of the big product came in. Till then, people were using just Yahoo and all those things. And no internet penetration in terms of speed and all those things. There were no great labs in colleges or outside. So you hardly had access to internet, or there were hardly any people who could come and guide you in small cities that what you should do. So there were a couple of career options to choose from, that you could go to development, which was ASP.NET or Java or JavaScript at that time. Or you could go to Oracle for database, Oracle certifications, or you could go to Cisco certification networking, or you could go to Red Hat certification at that time. So frankly, I wasn't very sure what to do. So I went to one of my uncle. He was a computer teacher in a school. So I asked him that what I should do, since I'm in IT and you are related to computer field. So what should I do? So he said, oh, I have a friend who is visiting from London. He is a network engineer over there. So maybe we can go to him and can ask him, what is happening in the other part of the world, what people are doing over there. So luckily I got a chance to meet him. And that was a life-changing event for me. So I got a chance to meet him for an hour, and he was very receptive. And he understood the problem that generation like us had, that problem that no career guidance was there at that time. So he sat with me, he tried to understand my areas of interest, what I want to do. And then he told me about networking. So he first told me about, in a whole, how information technology is being used in industry. Because we were just, learning about subjects, but we didn't know how it gets applied in industry. Yes, you can create websites and all those things, but then they said that a lot of digitization is happening. In London, we can watch live cricket match on internet. And that was a kind of a wow point for me. So they said that we get a 2 Mbps speed in London. For us at that time, it was still dial-up connections. And then he kind of explained to me that no matter how good websites do you create, no matter how much content do you create, unless you have a good networking technology, you cannot access your content better and faster. At that time, switches which are used to connect networking from one place to another place used to have 100 Mbps of interfaces in that. And now the switches are 800 GB speed. So in last 16 years or 17 years, the speed of the interface of a networking switch has improved 8,000 times. So that's a kind of evolution happening in internet or on networking technology. Because so when this smartphone came in 2007, when Apple launched the smartphone, iPhone 3G at that time, that revolutionized the industry. So basically, that was the time when people started getting access to video calls and all those things. Before that, people couldn't even imagine that you and I would be talking someday from India to US, right? If you tell somebody at that time, oh, you will be able to do a live call at some point of time, people won't believe that at that time. So that's what networking technologies made possible, right? You can create a lot of good software content, but if underlying network doesn't support that, you cannot have that kind of a communication or faster communication, I would say. So he kind of explained me the importance of networking technologies. So he said that, you have Linux operating systems, you have database, you have websites, but even if you keep on increasing your data in the databases, you need stronger and better network at that time, reliable network, and then secure network. So those were the two main parameters we consider for network. Actually, more than two. One is availability of the networking, reliability of the networking, and the security of the networking. So these are three main important components when we talk about networking. So he explained me, and then that clicked me. So then I went to Delhi. I did my CCNA course over there, which was Cisco Certified Network Associate. Earlier that time, there were no many networking companies at that time. So it was just Cisco, mainly Cisco. HP was creating some switches, and Dell also was making some switches, but mainly in the networking world, it was brand name as Cisco. So we did our Cisco certification. That really helped me, and then kind of gave me, because that was one of my professional certification, that what I can do with it. So that kind of gave me a glimpse of the real world. Okay, how we can use those networking technologies and connect one branch to another branch, or one office in India to another office in US or in UK and all those places. So then, luckily, when I did my CCNA in final year of college, we were setting up a brand new lab within our college. So our head of department at that time, Mr. Vinagol, I had a very good relationship with him. Luckily, fortunately, I was a good student at that time. So I kind of asked his help that can I do a major project in order to set up this lab, because I did networking kind of a course. I want to use that as a real implementation. So he said, yes, of course, you can do that. And that I made as my major project in final year, that I set up the entire lab. I did the network routers and switches configuration on using my hand. That gave me a lot of exposure, that how you set up the labs and all those things. So that was an early stage of my career choice, that where I want to go. But then when I went into the industry side of the world, still the major companies like TCS, Infosys, Satyam, Wipro, HCL, other than HCL actually, most of the companies were still software dominated companies. They were not hiring a lot of people into the networking side of the world because it was still picking up. And these industries were, or these companies were getting a lot of business from software side only. So then there was a company called Converges at that time. They had a Cisco process. So basically, whenever any particular user or any particular organization have some issues with Cisco router and switches, they used to open TAC case, which is Technical Assistance Center case. So Converges had that Cisco process, and any case gets opened up, that used to go to Converges, and they used to hire Cisco certified engineers in order to solve those problems. So after my engineering, luckily after 2 days, I got a call from Converges for my interview. I did my 4 rounds of interview, and they said, okay, we'll call you for fifth round after a week, and that will be mainly Cisco technology based round. So I kind of prepared for that, well prepared, but somehow they didn't call me. Maybe the position got filled or something happened. So I didn't get a call. So then I thought, oh, I have to anyways move to a bigger city, either Gurgaon, Noida, Bangalore, or Hyderabad, in order to find a job, because I have to go do walk-ins and all those things. So I went there, stayed with a friend, and one of my friend actually got a job, and he wanted to go and collect his offer letter that day. So he said, like, why don't you go with me, and just we can hang around at that time. So I went with him. So he went upstairs in that company to collect his offer letter. I waited at the reception, and so when he was talking to his hiring manager, he asked about that, what team he's building, how many people in the team, and what we are supposed to do, and all those things. So kind of he told him that, oh, we are hiring more people because we are building an office just next street, and we want to set up the entire office. So we need two, three more people. So he said, oh, are you looking in the network engineering side? So one of my friend, he has done his CCNA, and he has done the lab setup and all those things. So maybe you can interview him. So he said, okay, call him. And I went there. He interviewed me 3 rounds, and then I was able to clear because I had full preparation for Converges, anyways, for my Cisco round. So I was shocked, like they offered me right there and then. So it was 10th of July. And I called my parents that, morning I came in Gurgaon, and evening I got the job. So kind of it was a destiny. So I started my career 2 days after, on 12th of July, which was my birthday, coincidentally as well. So yeah, that's how the journey started. So I was working there, and then there was a TCS off campus going on. So I kind of applied for that. I cleared their written test, and then when I was called for interview, since I worked in the first company for 3 months, and I helped them to set up the entire building network during those 3-4 months, I learned a lot from an industrial experience at that time. And that's where I think the value of the industrial experience counts. No matter how many books you read, how many lectures you attend, but until you go and apply it in the real world, you don't really learn about the technology. So that really helped me to learn technology in those 3 months. And when I went for TCS interview, kind of I learned during those 3 months that how do you drive your interviews. So I kind of told them that I have a strong hand on networking side. I did my college major projects in networking and all those things. So luckily, he drove the interview in the networking side of the world. I think they just started picking up networking technology at that time. And then I was able to clear my interview. I went into TCS, started my career as a network engineer over there. And within 4 years, I got a chance to work for a large MNC, which was a gaming company, and I got a chance to travel to US as well. And it was a completely different ball game. And after that time, 2010, 11, that by that time mobiles were launched, iPhone 4 was in there, Android was in there. A lot of people were playing games on phones, online, and all those things. It required a very stable, secure, and reliable network at that time. So I got a chance to work with the best brains of the industry at that time from a networking side. So yeah, I build their corporate networks as well as we build their online network as well. And I used to be an operation engineer initially when I started. So we used to take care of their incidents and tickets and all those things. But then I started doing development of their networking as well, or deployment of their networking. And then gradually, after spending 6 7 years, I took a role of operation manager and then program manager. Then I wanted to understand not just networking side of the word, but how overall data center works. Because in data center, it's just not the network. You have a lot of computes, you have a lot of storages, all your application gets hosted into those storages, and you need a lot of compute power in order to run those applications, heavy applications. So I wanted to understand that how the overall life of a packet, when you request a particular, let's say you go and type www.google.com, how it goes all the way through the data center and then give you the reply back. So I want to understand how the overall IT infrastructure in terms of deployment and operation works. So I moved myself into the data center side of the world. Now I worked on the overall scope of the IT infrastructure. So that's how my entire journey started. And yeah, over the period of time, I was lucky enough to get a lot of opportunities at the right time, and I was able to pursue my career properly.
One thing which comes out is that you were lucky in terms of getting the right kind of career guidance at the right time, though it was not really in a very structured way. But I think especially students and professionals and parents, I think they should be aware that there are so many different types of career guidance options which are available. And there are so many different types of careers which are available. And it's actually advisable not to stereotype any individual, because as you mentioned, I think everybody's interests and abilities are different. So that's one area which I would strongly recommend that people who are watching us or listening to this should definitely take this as a learning from Rakesh's journey. He has been lucky, but in terms of getting the right guidance at the right time, though probably it was not a very structured way, but at least there are tools and systems which are available. So please do take that as a assistance to create a suitable career option for your child.
And I would say, like from my journey as well, when I say that I was lucky, I think I tried for it, and then luck starts favoring you. Let's say in third year of my college, if I would have not reached out to my uncle to look for a career advice, or and then if I would have not gone to that particular person to understand what networking is, and then even after listening to him, I would have not gone for a certification at that time, things would have not fallen in line, right? So it's important that you look for suggestion, you look for career advices at the early stage of your career. Try to understand that what other people are doing and how they're implementing that knowledge into industry, and see that if it matches your interest. Do you want to do the same thing? Does that excite you? If it excites you, go and try it and fail fast. Because when you don't try doing it, you won't know whether you can be successful or you will be failing in that. If you want to fail, just fail fast and move on to next options. Just don't keep hanging on to it. Okay, I'll do it maybe the next month, or I'll try something else, and then things won't fall in line. And even for me, when I joined my first organization, or the second organization, it wasn't easy for me to get into networking, because when I was hired as a fresher, they send you for a common training, and then whatever the project requirements are, they pick you in those project requirements. Then you are, most of the times you're not given a choice to choose your career path, right? It's kind of, okay, we have this requirement, and then you land up into that project, and then you start working on the technology, and then ultimately that becomes your career choice. But after a year or two, I was pretty focused that I wanted to do networking, and I kept telling my manager that I have interest in doing networking, I've done certification, so I want to use that knowledge, and maybe I can be a good resource to you as well. And then he supported me as well, because he could see my passion around it. If I would have just done what my company was asking me to do, maybe I would have in a different career. So it is important that you chase that properly if it really interests you. And if you have really put up your efforts in the past, you want to encash that as well, that yes, this is something which I want to do. So find out your ways. Talk to your manager, talk to your colleagues, talk to your mentors, talk to people like you who are running those career centers, who can advise and who can connect you to other people, like-minded people, or the communities, that how you can get those career advices. Because uh, I wish that we had these kind of centers at that time, and these kind of internet technologies and YouTube channels and all those resources that time. We would have been in a maybe in a better situation. But I'm really very happy with this level of generation today, at least, that they have access to these resources and they can try so many things at a very early stage of their life.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think taking action is very important.
Yeah.
While learning about it is important, because that's how it gives you some direction. But ultimately, taking action, and if you're not liking something, then obviously, as you rightly mentioned, do something. And if you don't like it or you're failing, fail fast, so that you can try the next one. And that's how you can reach to the best optimum career option, what you are good at and what you are passionate about. I think that's both are equally important.
Right.
Great. So moving on, let's try and understand about your jobs which you have gone through, and right now you're at Google as technical program manager.
So for me, like, I started as a network engineer initially, got very, very basic stuff to start working on. Eventually started building up on those things. For initial 3-4 years, I was in India, supporting from our offshore delivery center, then moved to US for one of my client, and then started working with their best minds on network engineering stuff. Learned a lot of knowledge from there. Since I was in US representing my company in front of client, I learned a lot of program management, operation management skills there as well. So whenever my manager used to go on call, I used to shadow him to learn from him that how he represent himself, how he present the business case scenarios, how he represents the monthly status report or weekly status report. And we used to provide our inputs to that as well. So that's how I started learning about program management, operation management, team leading skills, and all those things. So eventually, when my manager left there, I was promoted to team lead. So I was leading the team over there. So that gave an exposure on the leadership side of the world as well, on the project management side of the world as well. And eventually, I feel that once you're attached to the technology, after a certain period of time, you start feeling like that, okay, if you were doing same thing 10 years, 9 years back, and then you're still doing the same thing, then what additional value you are adding, being an expensive as an experienced resource? Whatever the work you are doing, if a 4 year, 5 years experience can do, what's your value then being of 15 years? So you need
Yeah.
to start adding the values. You need to start working on business development. You need to start working on program management, larger program management, portfolio management, customer relationship management. So all those things you have to continuously start learning and working on. So other than technological skill, you really need to be smart on your soft skills as well. So soft skills include your communication skills, your presentation skills, your ideation skills, brainstorming skills, team handling skills. So those are the things you need to learn along with the technology if you want to continuously survive into that. So, and whenever you see a particular problem, just don't think that it's not my problem. It's organization problem, and I'm just getting paid from my job, right? If you are hired there, and if you're senior resource, or even if you're a junior resource, if you see a problem, I see that as an opportunity. If there is an opportunity, go and try to solve it. That's how you make yourself as a recognized person that he's a problem solver as well. He's just not here to do the job which we are telling him or her to do. So that's the kind of an attitude I carried along with me, which kind of helped me to establish as a trusted advisor or a trusted partner to work with. That, okay, whatever the problem we give him, he would work on that diligently and will try to come up with a solution. Not all the time you can give a solution, but then people look at your attitude, that how you're trying to solve that problem. And whenever you go for companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, or nowadays any company, right, they see your problem solving skills. So when they interview, they won't ask you commands on how you do that particular type of coding or how you solve a particular type of networking coding or those things. They'll look at you that how many problems did you solve in the past, and what type of problems those were, and what was your contribution in that. You can work as a team, but what important thing is what your contribution into that was. So those were the things which kind of helped me to navigate my career to Google as well, because those were the questions were asked from me as well, that how did you do risk management, how did you do problem solving, what sort of problem did you solve, what kind of a benefits did you give to the organizations while you were working in the previous role. So those are the things which counts. And whenever you're doing things and you're solving a problem, make sure that you make some notes out of it, because sometimes we come, do our job, and go home. We don't think about it, what good job we have done. So it's very important that you give yourself credit and take a successful tap on your back, because that gives you a feeling of accomplishment as well, and that gives you motivation as well, that why you are here and why you are doing this job. And when you make notes for those things, and whenever you are going for new clients or new interviews or any of those things, then you remember that what you have done, and it's easy to kind of go and talk about those things. Otherwise, what I've done in 15 years, I may not remember all of those things. So whatever the important problems you have solved, what challenges did you face in those problems, or how did you overcome through those challenges, what networking did you build during the period of time when you were solving those problems, how did you lead the team, how did you understood the problem, how did you solve the problem, how did you evaluate the risk, how did you provide a solution, whether the solution worked or not. So those are the things which you need to make a note for yourself in order to do a kind of lesson learning for yourself as well, that how you can do this thing in a better way next time, maybe if the similar problem happens. So those are the kind of things which I would suggest to anyone. Maybe any young professional, or it applies to, I think, anyone across the board.
Agreed. I think as you progress in your career, what is expected, of course, your technical thing, the minimum technical skills in any domain is important. But what is really expected out of you is to lead a bigger team, solve problems, focus on profitability, focus on top line, bottom line, and things like that. So the business runs on skills which are just beyond, not just focused on technical skills, but obviously much beyond that. And that includes a lot of soft skills, a lot of management skills, which one can actually pick up as part of the job, and it is also possible to take up some specific courses in time to time to upskill and upgrade yourself. I completely agree. I think your current role in Google is of the technical program manager. So tell us about what exactly you're doing in Google right now.
So from a technical program manager perspective, we are program manager, which manages we manages the program. Those could be IT infrastructure program. I am specifically into data center side of the world, so we manages the data center programs in terms of. I cannot give you very specifics about what my role is, but yeah. So we take the requirements of the new program or a project. We try to understand that what project is all about, what the objective of the program, why we are doing it. Whenever you're doing a program, there has to be objective attached to it. And sometimes there are very high level constraints as well. For example, that the program has to be done by this timeline, because maybe there's a product launch by that time. So the project has to be completed by that time. Or there is a cost associated with that this project has to be completed within this cost. Or there are the number of resources attached to it, that okay, these program can be done with these many number of resources only. So you take all those constraints, you take the requirements, you understand the objective, and then you start working on creating a project plan out of it. And then you do a kickoff meeting with all your stakeholders who will be working on that project along with you. And then you lead the overall program. You create a proper work breakdown structure, that what are the different phases of the project would be, what are the deliverables in those project timelines and in different phases, who will be working on those particular tasks, when we are going to start it, when we are going to end it, how much cost is attached to that particular task, what is the quality of service attached to that particular task, how we are going to measure the success of that particular task when we call that, yes, this task is done successfully. What are the lessons learned out of those tasks? And then you look at the risk as well, that okay, if you're going to do that task, do you have a resource available? Do you have a cost available? Do you have material available for that? Material could be resource material, the material could be hardware material, material could be a software material, right? And do you have underlying technology to do that or not? So do you have technology compatibility for that as well? If you're doing brownfield kind of a project, do you have backward compatibility as well? So you understand, you try to assess all those risks. You kind of put those risk structure, we call it risk breakdown structure as well. You try to understand that what is the impact if in case that particular risk happen, and if in case that risk happen, how are you going to mitigate it? So you create a mitigation plan as well according to that risk. So and then you go on different phases. There are different way of doing the project management. There's agile way of doing it. There's waterfall, which normally a lot of people don't use nowadays in the software industry. And there's a scrum master kind of a way of doing the project management as well. So depending on like what type of projects you're doing and how it suits to that particular project, not every project can be run in a scrum way. Because you may end up wasting a lot of time for a lot of people doing a lot of stand-up calls in the morning. So it depends like what type of project you're doing and how well versed the team is in doing those projects. Let's say if you have been doing those similar type of projects with that team for past 4 or 5 years, then you know each other. So you don't have to interact very oftenly. You kind of assign the task, you take the status on that, you understand the risk, measure the success on that particular task, close that out. But if you are, let's say, going with a new staff in order to run those projects, then you have to do a lot of more coordination in doing those projects. So kind of depend on that. So that's a pretty much kind of a job we do as a program manager. And when we attach T to it, then you are responsible for making the technical decisions as well out of those projects. If you're just doing the PM work, then there's a technology, a resource attached to it who will do the technology work for you or make the technology design or make the technology decision for you. But when you are TPM, then you take certain technology decision around that as well. So that's where your technology knowledge comes into picture, along with your program management, your soft skills, your communication skills, your time management skills, your risk handling skills, your stakeholder management skills, your quality management skills. All those skills come together, and then you run an overall project.
Fantastic.
So that's pretty much we do.
Great. Okay, now for people to understand what exactly the IT infrastructure and with respect to not just the IT industry, but also across the different industries and how how the companies are actually or organizations are using them in terms of achieving their scale, efficiency, speed of execution. I think a lot of it is now dependent on technology. So give us an overview of how IT is being used in organizations, not just IT, but also other than IT.
Sure. Yeah. So IT, basically, you are processing the information through technology. That's what IT means. And you uses the computer systems and software to manage basically store and process the information. And it covers a wide range of topics and activities. IT could include computer hardware, software engineering, telecommunication, data management, storage, cybersecurity, and now a buzzword is machine learning and artificial intelligence as well. So those all fall into IT kind of technologies. So we basically, if you see from data information knowledge perspective, three things we talk about. Data is, let's say, for example, if I give you a number 65077222931, you don't know what that number is. That's just a data for you. It could be a population of a city, it could be a random number, or it could be a phone number of someone, it could be a bank balance in somebody's account. When you attach some information to it, that becomes information. And then how you use that information is your knowledge. So basically, you process the data, converts into information, and that information gives you knowledge to take important decisions for your business. So that's how information technology comes into the picture. And when we say what different variety of industry it touches, I think, every industry nowadays, including finance, healthcare, retail, education, transportation. You talk about anything. Like if you go to finance industry, uh, we talk about stock trading, right? Earlier, the stock trading, you have to go to the BSE for that or NSE for that, and then you have to do handwritten stocks earlier. That you have to be there physically, or you have to delegate that authority on your behalf to go and do the stock trading. Nowadays, you can go and sit anywhere and then can access any market in the world in order to do stock trading. So that's how IT has played an important role to make that information accessible to everyone and make it easy for everyone to do it. So we talk about mobile banking, online banking, and all those things. That's all about that, how finance industry has been revolutionized. We talk about healthcare, that how now we can do telepathy, telemedicines, digital health records. Now during the COVID time, like a lot of people who could not travel to hospitals, they could do telepathy through healthcare systems. So that's how the IT comes into the picture. And now how the genome sequencing is happening using cloud and a lot of strong computing, which was not available, and how we can do uh, protein research and all those things as well in healthcare. So there are so many examples that how you use IT into healthcare as well. Retail, how you do online shopping using Flipkart, Amazon, and kind of a that's how retail industry has been revolutionized as well. And for the retailers as well, that how do they stock up their orders, how do they make decisions that what particular products are going to be in demand, and how do they fulfill their orders and then keep the stocks and supply chain management. The entire supply chain is now run by IT, so we have proper supply chain management system. There are CRM, customer relationship management implementations as well. So the entire industry is run by now IT. If you talk about education, like you are doing Indian Career Center, that how education has been revolutionized. Had there not been any IT during the COVID period for 2 years, how we have done all our classes online would have not been possible. So that's how the education industry has been revolutionized. Transportation, that through GPS tracking, through real-time traffic updates, now you know if you want to reach to a particular place, how much time it is going to take for you to reach over there. Earlier, that was not possible. Now, let's say, for example, a particular hospital where the oxygen is about to get over, they put some sort of system over there which gives a signal automatically to the fulfiller, which fulfills the gas in the trucks, and then they have GPS attached to those trucks, which kind of gives an SLA that how long it's going to take for the oxygen truck to reach to that particular hospital, how early they can fulfill those oxygen as well. Now talk about weather industry, that farmers are now more aware that how much water do they need to give to their crops, because if they know the information that when it is going to rain and how much it is going to rain, they can decide that they don't need to water their crops beforehand. So that's how the farming industry has been changed. So auto industry now, all driverless cars are coming up. You get your Android Auto or Apple Car Auto within your car, and then you get real-time updates and everything. So I think I can keep going and keep going, and the list is limitless. So you can keep talking about it, how the IT is kind of changing the entire industry, and how do we see the overall industry as well.
Yeah, so fantastic. I think so, which clearly means that IT as a profession, whether it is for coding or whether it is for networking or data center, and these opportunities will keep growing because in every organization, there is some amount of IT which is required to manage the business and make it more efficient and fast and safe as well. I think.
Right.
And the best part is any system and process you adopt that makes it more reliable. Because if you depend on human being, it is possible and prone to making errors. But if you make it as part of a process, obviously that becomes more reliable, repeatable, and more efficient. So this is something which is going to grow. As per you, I mean, what you could have done if, if there was no proper guidance in your early career, early education and professional life. If you go back in your time and see what could have happened differently, what exactly comes to your mind?
Frankly, I don't know what could have gone different. I might have been into a different career choice maybe at that time. My lot of friends are into software side of the world, or different side of the industry. I might have been into that part of the world as well. So no, sorry if I couldn't give a perfect answer to that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, we are not looking for a perfect answer. There's no perfect answer. And I think what you mentioned is right. At least when you start off, because of we are spoiled with so many choices, it is possible to get confused. But at least at the core of it, if you're able to eliminate some of them, which you
Right.
did, I think that is a good start point. And then obviously one can take a more scientific method in terms of a psychometric analysis, which actually tries to find out about what is the real person. I think most of these tests are quite scientifically designed and done many, many times. So I think thousands of times the iterations have made it possible for you to understand when you go through a test like this to understand what is your interest, what is your abilities, and what are your personalities. I think these three traits are very important when you're trying to choose a career. And obviously the starting point should be the elimination. I mean, if you're able to eliminate some of these which you are very clear that you don't want to do this, I think that's a very good start point. And then probably you can build upon on that. Rakesh, I know we will be doing the subsequent series of discussions on specific subjects with respect to IT infrastructure. Would you like to give an overview of what we are going to do in the next 4 or 5 episodes?
Sure. We can talk about multiple things, but I would suggest that your audience come and comment about it. That what particular technology or what particular field they want to learn more about, so that it may be of what I am currently doing, or it may be different than what I am currently doing. I can definitely learn more about those things, and we can come and talk about those things. But yeah, if you want to talk about my areas of the world, it could be IT infrastructure services, data center services. We can talk about network engineering side. We can talk about cloud architects and different career options in cloud side as well. So we can talk about all those things. But yeah, if in case your audience wants to know more about soft skills side of the things, project management side of the things, any other technology side of the things, I actually would be looking more of a comments and requirements from them so that we can tailor our series accordingly.
Yeah, definitely we'll do that. Once we are ready to release this episode, obviously, we will try to create a poll or try to take inputs from all the listeners, and based on that, we can obviously try and modulate our conversations in the future as well.
Sure.
But I think we are for today. I think today's discussion is done, and thank you for giving all your insights. Fantastic journey so far for you in terms of starting from your early life to what you are today. And I'm sure a lot of our young listeners and viewers will take a lot of learning from your journey and hopefully pick up some of them in terms of using them, adapting to your suggestions. And as you mentioned, we will also do further conversations based on what exactly the audience wants to hear from us in terms of learning about the new subjects. So for today,
Sure.
thank you so much to be part of this conversation.
No, thanks for having me, and thanks for inviting me, being a part of your journey as well. I think you're doing a great job, Mr. Mishra. Not a lot of people in this industry are so keen to help people and putting so much efforts in going and talking to industry experts and talking to them and understanding what they are doing, and then making that knowledge available for the young generation as well. So I'm very happy to be part of this journey. Looking forward to those more conversation and looking forward to help the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for today. And listeners and viewers, please do give your comments as to what you would like to listen more from us in the subsequent episodes. We'd love to participate and give you those relevant information to the best possible capability in terms of what Rakesh can give, what I can offer, and we love to help you in your career journey. Thank you so much to listen to us, and Please do share and like our video if you like the content, and look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Mishra. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We sincerely wish you could take something from our conversation today and be able to apply it to your life in a positive way. We value your feedback. This can help us improve our future episodes. So share your thoughts to serve you better. If you want us to focus on a topic which you think is of importance, let us know. We will share our expertise in future episodes. So, see you soon with a new topic and help you in your career journey.